My name is Hans. I'm a full-time writer, and most of the books I write are about whiskey. I'm here at the festival on Isla to promote a newest book called The Legends of Lefroy, which I wrote together with Marcel van Gils.
I'm Marcel van Gils. I'm 54 years old. I'm a dentist, and I just did this book because I'm a big fan and big collector of Lefroy, and I did it together with Hans. And I'm here to promote the book as well, but have some fun here during the festival and look at other distilleries and some scenery and maybe some more researching too.
It's especially nice to see people from all over the world. They communicate with one another about the book, and it was just out, and we received emails from Japan, from Australia, US, and everybody was talking about the book. We had created some rumor around the brand by telling people, well, we're working on this book. So before it was even published, people were saying, well, can I get hold of the book? And maybe there's only a limited edition, so we really have to make sure we get a copy. And today you see when the people come in at the distillery, now it's an open day, they wave with their little flags, so you immediately know from what country they are. We just talked to an Italian guy who is a designer, and he looked at the book. He's an art bag collector, and we suggested, he was smitten with the quality of the book. He really liked it, so we suggested he should sell his art bag collection, start collecting Lefroy, and then have a nice book for his collection.
And what was really big fun was that we had a lot of reactions from descendants of the Johnson family, the founders of Lefroy. And as to this day, we are in contact with them, and they very much appreciated the work we did in putting the story right, because a lot of nonsense had been published about their family. We described it in the book. I mean, the lines, the family trees, they were all wrong in almost every book, and they really hated this. I mean, if you saw family trees in the past, everyone was doing it with everyone. You know, I mean, nephews and cousins and nephews and nephews. I don't know what. I think we put it right.
Yeah, well, it was also nice. Well, there was this famous collection of Lefroy bottlings, but we thought if we only do the collection, it might appeal only to the collector's world. So we sat down and we discussed what we would put in the book, that it would have a much wider appeal than just the collecting world. So we came up with a short introduction about distilling itself, where it supposedly comes from, but also the history of the island. How did it come into being, who owned the island, and how did that interact with the people who ran the distillery? Because in the early days there was a lease on the ground, and you could run the distillery, but you could never own the ground. And later in the history of Lefroy, you see that one of the guys who had the license managed to buy the actual grounds, and then it all came together in one hand. And it was great fun for us to do this research, because it was rather complicated to tie all these lines together. And then we came to a chapter we have to tell about Lefroy today. Now, there are many books that explain how single malt whiskey is made, and we didn't want to overdo that for the umpteenth time. So we came up with the idea to actually interview the people who make Lefroy today and let them tell how their whiskey is made. It's much more interesting than Marcel and me rambling about, oh, this is single malt whiskey and works like this and that. So we went with the guys into the distillery, and you remember the time we were in the still house at the middle of the night?
Yeah, fabulous.
Yeah, and they told their stories while they were working there. And well, Marcel took pictures of the guys, and we could put them really in the books, put quotes from them. And some of the guys, they've been working here for 30 odd years. One of them in particular, Eddie Morris, who's at the warehouse, he started as a farmhand with Bessie Williamson. You heard about Bessie Williamson, famous one-time owner and manager of the distillery. And he still recalls working for her as a little boy.
Was a chauffeur?
Yeah, he was a chauffeur. He drove around the island.
Yeah.
And that's what you get if the people here were really willing to help us, because if they don't want to help, we can't get that book. So that's also why we decided to dedicate the book to the people of Lefroy, because thanks to them we could put the book. Well, it was Marcel's idea and initiative, and him being a dentist, using Lefroy as an anesthetic, so you know what kind of dentist he is. I need some help in writing the book, so we've known each other from a single malt whiskey club up in Speyside, where we met for the first time, and that's when we started to talk about, well, things at large, and it ended up in making a book together. It's just quite an interesting exercise.
It's funny that you're saying that about this not being a company book, because this is what we really did not want. We involved them heavily, but still, it was our book, and we let them read it before we published. If there weren't any mistakes or legal stuff, that's possible. It's always possible, but it was our book, and that's what it stayed our book.
It's not a corporate brochure about a brand. It's a true story of the history of a remarkable distillery, and why it's remarkable. Well, you should read the book and find out how remarkable it really is.